Great. So we are here now, finally. So now I'm here. I would request, if it is possible, so some of you put yourselves on camera, and so that we can start now. I think almost everyone is here, except few people who have registered for the program but are not here. We have Isita here now. Hello, Isita. Thank you very much. And
Hello.
Payal. Payal is here? Yeah, hi, Payal. Avik, Resmita, and we have Safi. Uh, Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I took a little bit more time to fix my technical issue, but anyway, we are here. I hope that I'm audible to everyone. Am I audible to
Yes,
everyone?
yes,
Yes, you're audible.
So, okay, okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Good morning. I think for you, everyone, like a good afternoon, and uh, good evening. We are in the holy days of holy months of Ramadan, so I wish you also a happy Ramadan. Uh, we are here for this program. We are having this language webinar, and we are going to have a series of webinar in coming days or coming months, perhaps. Uh, and this webinar basically has been designed to provide you various information about the scope of language, those who are here learning the language and also learning language at a different institutions. So this webinar is designed for them to explore the scope, to learn about the scope of the language. We have three guests. I'll be the moderating, but let me first introduce myself before I introduce our guest for today. My name is Rajiv Kumar, and I am currently research scholar and teaching fellow at Ibn Khaldun University, Istanbul. I'm in Turkey right now. I graduated in German language and literature from Jawaharlal Nehru University and started working with various multinational companies. But then for a long time, I worked as a project manager for a book publication company. I work also as an editor um, for magazine. Now, I would like to introduce our guest for today. We have very qualified guest, and we are honored to have such guest at this platform. We have Dr. Isita Saxena. Dr. Isita Saxena has graduated, done PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University in French language and literature, and she has been working as a conference interpreter and also language consultant for last 10 years. So which means a lot of experience she has acquired. She has also been involved and for the G20 meetings and conferences. She also served as an interpreter for various events organized by multilateral finance institutions like World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and international nonprofit like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She is she's from India. Since she is from India, she already knows her mother tongue is Hindi, but she is very fluent in French, Spanish. Not only that, but she also knows Romanian language, Romanian, Arabic, Spanish, Mandarin, and also Tamil. So we have a lot of things to learn from her, and hopefully we are going to we'll be inviting her again and again because we can't, have a lot of information from her in a event. Further, we have another guest today, Payal Priya. She has a she is currently uh, full fellow, teaching fellow at University of Notre Dame. and in America, and also research scholar at Jawaharlal University at the Department of English Studies. And she has also been a language trainer for 4 years, and also she has been teaching at the undergrad level English and English language and literature. She has also taught English language at Umran Language Academy, Umran Green School. So we have a lot of information to get from her since she has traveled from India to US, and she has been in a very vibrant environment. So we have a lot of things to know from her. We have then Avik Das. Avik Das is currently pursuing master at Jawaharlal University in Spanish language. He's a Spanish educator. He is also teaching. Has been a freelancer for various embassies as an interpreter, and also polyglot. I must say that his knowledge of the Spanish language specifically is very impressive. And so he has been also teaching Spanish at Umran Green School for last more than 7 months. He has been teaching. So we are going to learn about the opportunity that Umran is unlocking at here in the field of language. So we will be learning from Abik as well. We have also some more friends who will be assisting me during this event, taking your questions between our discussion. So we have Safa Larissa, and we have Resmita, and we have Subham Bharadwaj. So we have a very strong team here to engage and inform you with the in the about the language scope of the language. So thank you very much. I would like to again welcome you, and I would like to thank you for your patience and also joining this event and making this event successful. Let's start with our discussion. Before we have a long session, let me also inform you about how we are going to conduct this session. So this session will be like we are going to have a discussion with our guests. Meanwhile, you can write in your chat box some of the questions that might you want to ask from our guest and want to learn about, like, the scope of language perhaps, and whatever challenges, whatever things are coming to your mind, you can write. Also, will some of the question we may address in our upcoming events also. So let's start our event. So I would like to start with I don't know, like from with whom I should start. So I have a questions now. Let's start like with the engaging questions, perhaps. Um, Isita, and for everyone, like all of you, uh, what motivated you to pursue career in the field of language? And specifically, Isita, I mean, you have a long experience, and what kind of a scope you have explored so far in the field of language?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for that question, Rajiv. So, I think my language journey began very early. I had to choose a third language option when I was in school. So my choices were either German, French, or Sanskrit. And I was fascinated with the idea of learning a foreign language, and I ended up choosing French. I studied French for almost 5 years in school. And then that sort of, drew me into learning the language. And I pursued it in my bachelor's course in DU. Then I went on to do my master's, my MPhil, PhD. So I think I always felt very fascinated with various cultures. I did a bit of Romanian also. I have a diploma in Romanian language, and I think for me, what drew me was when you look at different cultures. You may study about it in your mother tongue, you may sort of read books about it, but when you're immersed in it, when you actually look at it from the lens of the language of that culture, there are so many nuances that come forward. Like you are looking at it from sort of, a native speaker's perspective, and you also sort of start to gain an insight into how people think, how they perceive things, because language has that role to play. It sort of forms your perception of the world, the
Yeah.
way you use language, the way you use words. So for me, that was very fascinating. And
You
I
started
yeah, sorry.
you started your language career since your schooling time, perhaps, as you said, and now you are like a conference interpreter. You are doing work already. So what are the scope that you have explored so far in the field of language?
I feel there are so many things you can do with the language. First of all, I think language sort of uh, opens various doors for you. You can go into
Hmm.
teaching, you can translate, you can become an interpreter. The hospitality industry requires a lot of people who know languages, mass communication, publication. You can go into tourism. Several multinational companies require people who are proficient in various languages. You can work on global level projects. There are multilateral institutions and organizations that want to hire people who know languages. You can work for the UN, you can work for the European Commission. And I'm not saying that you need to work as a language professional. Your degree can be in any field, but if you have the added advantage of a language, you can you can just work anywhere, and you also develop these critical thinking skills, this presence of mind when you're learning languages. And the best part about languages that somehow it's a plus and a negative, depends on how you look at it, that your journey never stops. Even if you think you are an expert in a language,
Yeah,
you need to keep making it better and better and better.
exactly. So I would like to ask the Payal Priya and Avik as well. How did you start your journey with the language, Payal?
Okay, so my journey of language did not start with language itself, but I was drawn to literature first. So I was going through a rough patch in my life, and I remember like reading books, a lot of books. So I would just consume books, and that kind of opened a world to me. So I was driven, as Ishita said, that language comes with a culture. When you learn a language, you get an insight into a culture. So when I started reading about different worlds, not just this world, this cocoon of mine that I was living in. So I was drawn to language through these books. I wanted to learn more languages. And then later in life, I got this opportunity of teaching English, and teaching English was not just teaching words or not just teaching vocabulary, but teaching it was more like teaching someone a new perspective, giving them or trying to just open new worlds to my students. So it was a beautiful experience. And now that I'm here in a different country, I even see how language connects, how like language truly connects people. uh, and it's fascinating, this world, like Ishita said, that there is no end to it. So you just keep walking, and you keep it's endless, but it's nevertheless it's the most beautiful journey, that one of the most beautiful journey that a person can take, because draws you close to different cultures, different people. It opens and widens your mind. It's well proven that a multilingual mind thinks differently. So yeah, so I'm not like we are not professionals of language. We are also students of language, and we'll always be students of languages. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Rightly you said, like, in the very beginning, even I was not aware of, like, whether language will open up a new scope for me, like, and I got into it, maybe. And then I found that there are a lot of opportunity in the field of language, and I started enjoying in this field actually, and this opened a new scope for me as well. So Evik, I mean, how do you think, like, how did you started your language journey?
So I wanted to learn Spanish when I was doing my bachelor's in English literature, and at that time I enrolled myself in a certificate course at a center at the University of it was Rabindra Bharati University, and when I was there, I was taught by a native, Spanish native speaker from Barcelona. So she actually introduced this awesome and amazing language to us. So I got really drawn towards it. So, and after that, after a while, I studied for the language entrance exam at JNU, and then I cleared it. But what motivated me to learn a foreign language, I would say, is basically the language itself. So I love everything about Spanish, and I'm still a student. I'm learning, and I'm learning more, and I'm also learning more how to teach and how to explore even greater depths of the language. So I love everything about Spanish, the way it's spoken and expressed, the culture, history, literature, cinema, arts, everything. And also in how many countries it's spoken. So in every country, it's spoken differently, even if it's the same language with a variety of culture, with history. Like, like 20 countries speak Spanish. So it's really great to delve into the very depths of the languages, the literature it offers, so many different kinds of ideas, concepts, culture, gastronomy, opportunities, and they keep on increasing. So all these really attracted me. So yeah, as I do agree with you. When I started learning Spanish, I didn't think anything about what kind of job I'm going to do, or what kind of things it would offer in my future. I embarked on this journey just for the pleasure of learning. I like to learn it, so I started it. That was what happened in my case.
And do you think, like, all of you, like, exactly, and do you think, like, don't you think, like, even I also have been realizing, do you think, like, a language enhances our personal and professional uh, quality, or uh, it becomes a very helpful in our personal and professional growth? Do you think, like, language is helpful in this field? Any of you, like Ishita or perhaps Payal? Yeah.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just feel that, like, more than professional, obviously it has a professional aspect to it, but I have seen students here who major in biology, but they are learning languages like French and Hindi, uh, and Spanish, and Swahili. So they're just learning languages. Now, it does help them professionally because, it helps you connect to people better. It, like, there are scholarships which you can get because you know these languages. But then I think more than that, it has an overall uh, impact, where a person's personality, and as I said, that the way you think is molded by the languages you learn, because you inherit cultures with those languages. Your entire way of thinking can be, maybe in some cases, challenged. In some cases, like, you get a new vision. In some cases, you learn something new. So there's so much to take from language, and it changes you as a person, and it helps you connect better with people, because you kind of see what, uh, through the lens of language, you can see what the other person. I would say that you can actually know what is to live other lives, but you can relate better because you know their language.
Mhm.
So it's always
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to share language, because through language we share culture, we share a friendship. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm in Istanbul, and every time people ask me how many languages you know. Believe me, like in a city like a cosmopolitan city like Istanbul, once you come here and you are interacting with people, they ask you generally how many languages you know, because language, with why they are asking, they can make trade, they can do business, they can do research. Even in the institutions like academic institutions, they are looking in your CV how many languages you know. So for the research purposes also, like language becomes very important. Isita, you have been uh, conference interpreter for more than 10 years. And what kind of task you undertake, and can someone make their career in this field? And what would you suggest in your someone for your field, like to make their career, and how much energy they need to invest?
Okay. So for this profession, which is conference interpretation, um, so I think the first thing that one needs to start with is, of course, the language acquisition skills. So you need to have a certain level, and what kind of level is basically you need to have almost bilingual, near native proficiency or native level proficiency in the languages that you're working. So my working languages are English, French, and Hindi. So after school, I studied French for almost 15 years. I also spent a year in France. I, keep learning even now. Of course, English and Hindi are the two languages I grew up speaking, and I'm exposed to them every day. So in this field, it's very important to know your languages, the ins and outs, the expressions, idioms, various ways of expressing yourself. But more than that, I think your career as a conference interpreter does not start with does not end at language learning. It begins with your language learning, because after you have acquired the languages that you need to work on your other skills. You need to have research skills so that you know the areas where you're working. So in this industry, you end up working with, at least in India, specializations are rare. In Europe and American markets, you will have conference interpreters who will specialize in specific areas. There are medical interpreters, there are legal interpreters, there are interpreters who specialize in finance. But in India, the distinction is not there. And it's because India is a very raw, it's an emerging market. And the reason is in Europe and the States, you have UN offices, you have various multilateral institutions that hire interpreters on a regular basis. And it's ironic that in India, we don't have this sort of formalized professional structure to this, because we have so many languages in India, and now the need is being felt because we have so many conferences and events. We hosted the G20 last year, and suddenly there was a major demand for interpreters, trained interpreters. So I have had training in conference
Yeah.
interpretation, and conference interpretation means
Mhm.
most of your work. I mean, there are various modes of interpretation. There's the simultaneous interpretation where the speaker is speaking, you're listening to the speaker, and you are giving the output in the target language at the same time. Then there's the consecutive interpretation that most
Mm.
language students are familiar with. They're taught that in the university, where the speaker speaks, pauses, and then you say what the speaker said. So, conference interpretation is mainly simultaneous. It requires skills such as memory, attention splitting. It requires you to know the domain that you're working with. So, say you're working in finance one day, you need to know what the conference is about. You're working in agriculture the next day, so you need to know your field really well. So it requires really strong research skills. It requires good communication skills because you are not, to your listeners, you are not interpreting the language. They should be, when they listen to
Mm.
you, they should be listening to the speaker just in another language. So you need to be able to adapt in
Yeah.
a way that you are not making it sound like it's an interpretation. It's not a word by word. You're conveying the idea. So that takes time, that takes a lot of effort, and the reflexes development takes sometimes months, years. There are people who are still working on it, who have been in the field for 30 years, and they're still looking at new ways of expressing themselves. So it is possible, but it does require training. It does require, spending a lot of time with the language and immersing yourself in the language.
I want to ask you, yeah, I want to ask you like as you said, like a very rigorous skills are required for the in your field perhaps, and you are saying like in India uh, we are lacking in that. So, despite the fact that we have pioneer universities like Jawaharlal Nehru University, IFLU, and the BHU even like Delhi University, despite that, what is happening? Why they they are not able to produce such kind of uh, expertise?
So
Whether students are lacking, students are not focusing, or something is problem with the students, or something is problem with the institution.
what has been happening is, like you said, JNU does have a language department which offers simultaneous interpretation as a seminar. But it's also very limited in its scope. Like we learn it for 3 semesters only, and 3 semesters is and as part of a master's
Yeah.
program in and so there's no specific course meant for conference interpreters. Now, European universities offers very rigorous courses in just simultaneous interpretation. And for a profession like this, you need very, very rigorous training. I'm not saying that it doesn't help to study other areas but I would say that it requires very, very intensive work, which is not available in India for some reason. Other universities, I know they offer consecutive interpretation courses, but simultaneous is something that is taught in the parliament, and that is on the job. Like when you're hired as an interpreter by the parliament, after proving your language skills, they train you and you learn it on the job. And in
Mm.
JNU, it is offered in foreign languages, but it does not exist for Indian languages. So for example, somebody came to me, he was an English Bengali interpreter, and he said, I want to improve my skills. What do I do? Is there a curriculum for me? And unfortunately, I had no idea what to say to him because there is no university training Bengali interpreters or Tamil interpreters or Malayalam interpreters. It is just not there. Now, perhaps with the new education policy, where the government is sort of encouraging the use of Indian languages, we may see a shift, but it will take time. And finding trainers, qualified trainers who have industry experience is also a challenge. So yes, as the need is felt, as we have more global conferences in India, I think we will need to look at the question of training more qualified interpreters.
Yeah. Um, I would like to ask in a similar fashion to Avik, and then I'll come back to the Priya, because in JNU also, like I'm also from JNU, and we all are actually from JNU. What problem we saw, like uh, even like we have graduated from, like we are graduating from JNU, but still we need some sort of like a practical implication, because we don't have the environment to practice the language, even like to become an interpreter perhaps. First of all, one need to be very much fluent in the language, having the depth of the language perhaps, and it requires practices. Like until unless you don't practice, you can't advance the skill of language. So Abik, I mean, you have been teaching at Umran, and also you have been a polyglot. Uh, and what would you say, like in the UGS teaching fellowship? Do you think
Hello,
like
I am
the
unable to
UGS
hear you. I
teaching
couldn't hear
fellowship?
the last sentence you said. Hello.
Yes. Am I audible now? Can
Yes,
you hear
yes,
me now?
yes, yes. Now I can.
So I was saying like so what do you think like in UGS, like you have been teaching here for 7 months, more than 7 months, and do you think like a UGS is helpful in terms of advancing the skill of language, uh, and specifically for the students who are learning the language at the pioneer universities, graduating in the language, and for them, UGS teaching fellowship will be very helpful. Do you think like this?
Yes, of course. UGS teaching fellowship is very helpful the for the aspiring teachers and educators, because here we're not bound by any monetary purpose. It's like we're not doing this for that kind of gains, right? So here we are solely devoted voluntarily just in order to improve our skills in teaching. Now, I have seen like as a student here in at JNU, and also before, I have seen many teachers with many honors, awards, PhDs, and degrees and all. So they come with a vast amount of knowledge in literature in other fields. But yes, they're really skilled and all. But if someone asks me, how many teachers are there who can teach a student who knows nothing about the language, who has zero knowledge about the language, and that person can teach that student to learn and also love the language to even grow further, even grow their skills further? I would say not many, because this is a problem which I have faced. Even very qualified, like we have teachers here in JNU and also other places, like who have been associate professors and professors and all. Like very few of them are able to impart that skills because they don't understand the individual student's capacity, their difficulties. So when I am learning, when everyone like learning, everyone has different kinds and different levels and different ways to look at the language, so they perceive in a different way. So I think many teachers fail to understand like their shortcomings, and they just follow a syllabus, a book, or a curriculum designed by uh by some university or some rule. For example, in Spanish, we follow this Aula 1. So in every language, I think there is a book like that in
Mm.
German, French, and also. So when we are starting this book, we're starting this book with a lot of the book has a lot of inputs. So we cannot expect the students who have
Mhm.
no environment, when they go home, when they go out, they are no longer speaking the language, right? So they completely get detached. So we cannot expect them to go along with the curriculum that is given in the aula without giving them some sort of other like motivations, other kind of energy. So we need
So
to
I think,
understand the
Abby,
students' needs. So this is what we develop at Umran. This is how we learn to make a lesson. We we experiment with that lesson. We know the students' shortcomings, and this is how we develop. So then we can, of course, choose to uh, implement any other kind of, but it's at Umran we understand the students better, like because we have this independence. We are not under a boss like who won't give us the salary, or who won't give us something if we don't follow the rigorous the books and structures. So here, this is something that makes Umran different. So we understand each student's needs, their demands, and we have also these tests, quizzes, and cultural programs where they can also showcase their skills. So here we gain a lot of experience, and in my last 7 months, I've learned a lot. I would say, really.
Okay. I think also we need to develop slowly, perhaps. So what I am learning from you and also from Ishita, what they were saying, to develop some sort of language club, where people are also coming. I mean, the Spanish club, like this kind of stuff, like where people are speaking, uh, coming on platform, where this club is being monitored with the experts, and they're also in the, perhaps we can think about this. I want to ask the Priya. Priya has been regularly involved, when we are talking about the opportunity that Umran is unleashing here, or unlocking the opportunity in the field of language, Umran. So, uh, while Priya has been involved with the has been regular, her involvement with the Umran has been very regular, and we have conducted also many workshops. Also, we have conducted international symposium at Umran. So I wanted to ask Priya that that you taught English at Umran. Now you are a Fulbright fellow teaching in America Hindi. Do you think like Umran has been helpful in your journey? Like, when we are talking about the opportunity of Umran that is unleashing, do you think like Umran has been helpful and can
Yeah,
be helpful?
yeah, it has been very helpful. So in fact, in one of my, so I, when I applied for this program, we had like different stages of selection, and one of them was an interview. So they asked me in the interview, like, why have you applied for this fellowship? And I said that I've been teaching language like for a long time now in India, and I always thought that I'm good at it. But then Umran gave me this opportunity to teach English to students who did not know Hindi. So I did not have access to a language, like we did not share a language. So I needed to adopt like different methods to teach language. I like being at Umran, and that day I remember one of the students at the end of the class, she was like, "Oh, I cannot do this because uh, I always thought that every student, because I was teaching Indian students, so they had some knowledge of English, and I always thought, okay, this is how it is supposed to be. Like every student that walks into my class, even if it's a beginner's class, they know some English. But then I got to meet this student, uh, and it was through Umran, who did not know like a single word, like a true beginner one level student who did not have much vocabulary, did not know the language. And that was like an eye-opening event where I was like, okay, I need to learn to teach again. Like I need to go back and restart this entire process. One reason for this is that, as Ishita mentioned, like translation, you learn translation in the process, like in the job. And this is how we learn most of the teaching in India. We learn it in the job while we are doing it. So we have to figure out a lot for ourselves. Here in schools and universities, there are courses. So you have second language acquisition course. You have a course in methods of teaching English. So there you kind of get exposed to ways in which you can teach English, and you can choose a mix of those methods. And like, so when you go to your student, you go prepared. So this is this like we prepare lesson plans here. Now in Indian schools, universities, I like it rarely happens that you have to go there with a lesson plan, knowing what your classroom looks like, knowing what you're going to, like what you are targeting at, what is the skill set that you want to teach, and what are the activities that you would like to include. So everything happens very methodologically. And to like set up that method, to know that method and how to go about it, we actually need to go back and again work at the university level, at the school level, where so it's similar for like the financial skills in India. We don't get to learn much of financial skills in Indian schools, and I think that is the same with the languages. We don't focus on languages when we are at school, and that just carries on. But Umran, I think, has done a spectacular job by introducing students at such a young age to language and what language is capable, like languages is capable of doing. So you're doing a great job, and have loved, I loved being a part of it from the very beginning. So yeah, it has it has helped me, and
I want to ask.
the work you're doing is helping many more people realize the importance of language.
I would like to ask you the next question, Payal. I mean, you are in the America now as a Fulbright fellow,
Yeah.
and I think you can also share your experience of being there, and how things are going, and how one can apply for it, and how Umran can be helpful. What kind of preparation one should do for to get the Fulbright, because many people want to go and then experience teaching there, and then when they go there, they have a different experience. Yeah, so would you like to share something?
Yes, how to answer your question, how Umran can help, like it's doing its bit. I think by introducing such young, like I can see many young people are here around. So just introducing to them the importance of language. Just saying that, okay, you can learn mathematics, you can learn physics, you can learn chemistry, and these are important things, important subjects. But languages is also important. And important in multiple ways, like it transforms your personality, so there is a personal aspect. It transforms the way you think, so there is this mental, and there's also this emotional impact of languages where you
How was your experience? How, how was your experience? How was your experience in the as a being
it
a
was
fellow,
it was
a
a
Fulbright fellow
wonderful
here in America?
yeah, it was a wonderful experience, because so I applied to this program and I come here, and I am not a teaching assistant here. I got the opportunity to be a primary instructor. That means that I have to design the entire syllabus. I have to make lesson plans. It comes with a lot of responsibility, but it also comes with a lot of freedom. And teaching a language like Hindi, because French and Spanish has a lot of material. There are books that you can fall back on, and like books with a lot of research. But when you're teaching something like Hindi or teaching something like Swahili or Kichwa, so these are the languages, least taught languages that are being taught, offered at Notre Dame. So these languages do not have material. Like one of my friends who teaches Quechua just has one book, like the entire market just has one book on Quechua. And Hindi, it's better than that, but still you don't have much material. So you have to constantly research, you have to constantly look for ways where like look at methods of teaching that would work for your student. So uh, I was also learning how to teach languages. So I would like learn something about translanguaging, how you can use your like register, the full register of languages that you know, and you can bring it to the class. So I would learn that, okay, translanguaging. How can I apply that into my classroom? So it's a process here where you learn in classrooms by crediting courses, and then you get the opportunity of using them in your classroom when you are teaching. So it's like a complete process, and it's a beautiful
Yeah,
experience.
I think we yeah. Thank you very much sharing for this idea, like, because these are the important thing that you are sharing with us. We are at the Umran also. We have a very structured syllabus, and we are giving the training to the teacher, like how to teach. Like we are also providing them training, and then they also explore themselves as well. So and we have a syllabus, and they follow the syllabus. They have the international students And so in that way, I think what you have shared and what we are doing, it will match. I think will go hand in hand and perhaps will fulfill the requirement. So I would like to ask Ishita. Ishita has been uh, she joined as an Arabic language student long back when we just had started. How was your experience, Ishita? And when we just had started Umran, I want and now what you see Umran has been doing, and you might have seen a lot of events that we are conducting so far. What do you think, like, how Umran is doing and how far it has reached?
So I did the certificate course in Arabic language back in 2020. And I was just looking to, I thought it would be conversational Arabic and we'd just learn a couple of phrases here and there. And when I got to the classes, I was pleasantly surprised. So, as Payal was saying, that there are people there are students in Umran who do not know the language that you're teaching at all. They are absolute beginners, and that was the case with me for Arabic as well. I had absolutely no idea. I just knew how to say thank you in Arabic, and that's it. And when we started off, both the teachers were native speakers of Arabic, excellent teachers. The way they structured it, like they told us that this is what we'll be doing, this is the next step, this is how we'll be proceeding. And it was extremely enriching because I kind of s- uh, I have always been like into language learning, so I could sort of compare the structures that okay, oh, this aspect of grammar is a bit like French, oh, this aspect of grammar is a bit like Hindi. So it was a very interesting way. And what I really appreciated about what Umran did was that you put absolute beginners with native Arabic speakers, and you know, it was very diverse sort of a classroom. Like there were people, there were students, there were working professionals, there were people who had some knowledge of Arabic. There was people like me who had no level of Arabic, and we all were getting together. So we all have these various ways of looking at the language and ask questions, which would help the others, so I really appreciated that. And I feel Umran has been organizing webinars. You've been involving people from the academic world, from the industry also. You've been getting people together. It's been very enriching because you have people from different walks of life. You've opened a library in Bihar. You are helping children to take an interest. You're bringing these resources together. So I think I really appreciate that once you figure out, once you're in a position where you have understood how this journey works, you are helping others also who want to get started with the journey. And yeah, I think Umran has come a long way, and I feel it will be great to see, what lies in the future, because I think Umran is on its way to doing something big.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, my focus has always been like, how to uh, bridge the gap basically to develop the communication, because one section of society is very much privileged, and once our that we have a city life and then we have a village life. So once one part of the world becomes completely marginalized, and so I wanted to develop this communication, not like to just empower one particular community, but to bring them in communication. So use the resources from the city perhaps, and then to make the to contribute to the rural life, rural people who cannot go to city. And that is what I wanted to do here. And the language can be, I thought like language can be very helpful, like to teach them, because language is unlocking a lot of things here. So I want to ask this following questions to Avik, and maybe we can wind up in a few after a few minutes. We'll take some questions from the audience also. So, Payal, and anyone could you tell someone how language education, can be very helpful to marginalized communities in your perspective?
See, I would say when we talk about the pragmatics of it, obviously when you learn more languages, it opens different professional opportunities. Uh, so I think Ishita mentioned a lot of them. You could go to public, it could be publication, it could be translation, it could be uh, interpretation, it could be language, like a language teacher and a language instructor. So these opportunities open up. Also, language has a kind of social power to it. If you speak a certain language and you speak a certain language in a certain way, you are accepted in certain, you know, it should not be that way, but it is. Like if you can speak
Yes.
English fluently, I cannot change it. So the only way is to
Yeah,
accept
exactly.
the truth that if you speak English in a certain way, you don't even have to prove your intelligence. You're just
Mhm.
intelligent. You just like it's taken for granted that you are intelligent.
Yeah.
Is it correct? No, it's wrong. But then that is how the world works. So the only way is to prepare for it because it's not going to change overnight. I hope things
Yes.
change. Like we overhaul our the way we the academia works. We overhaul our syllabus. But it's I don't see that in near future you won't have government exams which would not have English as a section. And uh, also
Yeah.
overnight you'll not get English schools like government schools where English is taught really well. So when something like Umran happens, it's an opportunity. It's like a beautiful work that you've done for the society. uh, like giving this power of language and bringing decentralizing it and bringing it to the margins and saying that okay, you can also speak in these languages, you can also have access to multiple languages here in the US. The work that you're doing here, schools, like really good schools do that job. So they teach syllabus in two languages, and here it is seen like it is thought to be something very fancy. Again, something very fancy means that it is not available to everyone, right? But Umran just brings it to
Mhm.
everyone. It's there, and it's for every inquisitive mind out there who wants to uh, partake of it and learn something and put a little bit of effort, because this little effort goes a long way. So I would just say all the students who are here, like, you have a very good opportunity that Umran has given to you, and it comes from a very from a place of good thought, and it can really change the way you look at world, and the change and can change the far or the access to different places that you have in this world. So just put in a little bit of effort, and this could be really helpful. So I've always been like very appreciative of the work that you do. So yeah.
Thank you. And Avik, you are now currently pursuing the Spanish master from Jawaharlal University, and here teaching also. What would you would you urge students from your institutions to do the teaching fellowship at Umran, and what kind of benefits, what can it bring to them as well, and why would you suggest, and why would you urge?
Uh, yes, yeah, yes, of course. I would like to suggest this to my uh, fellow classmates and those who are learning and studying different courses here at JNU. So, uh, Of course, it has a lot of benefits. For example, a teacher, as I have mentioned earlier, the teacher here who teaches like undergoes a certain training. It's not like one can just teach anything he or she wants. For example, first thing, the the teacher will learn here, of course, like how to develop a syllabus and follow the syllabus. For example, Umran already has its own syllabus, like step by step. So the teacher can make materials according to the syllabus, and then the teacher has the responsibility to take attendance and also monitor the progress of the students. And also to take exams, to make question papers, evaluate the answer sheets, also motivate the students when he or she, for some reason, is not attending classes. So here a teacher does a lot of things which he or she doesn't do at a like a at a small institution or and of course for students at JNU or in any other university who are doing these degrees, they cannot have enough time to dedicate themselves to a very like a money making institutions which will make them work for 5 days a week, maybe take 5 to 6 classes, and like in exchange of them maybe they are they won't learn as many things as I expect that I am learning here. So Umran gives a lot of things, and also the classes that we conduct are weekend classes. So learners and teachers both can join in their favorable hours. So there is no problem with that. Also, the cultural program that Umran organizes is very, very, I would say, revolutionary, because I have not seen this kind of cultural program in other institutions. Of course, university does that, but it's at a like a it's not like in this program everybody can participate, and it's a little bit different. So which what we're doing now, but at Umran, even the beginner level learners who have just maybe have taken 2 or 3 weeks of classes, even they try their hardest and they put a lot of effort to showcase their skills, whatever they know. Maybe it can be a little bit of a song or conversation, or maybe some words also. So the teacher undergoes a lot of uh, progress and benefits from these. So I would urge everyone, like everyone who is interested in teaching, not just for the for the sake of getting only a certificate, but interested in making a change, in making like a whole lot of new learners who know nothing about the language and they want to explore career the opportunities. So I want them to come forward and also take part in it. So it has been very beneficial for me. So I hope it is for the others also.
Thank you. Let's take some questions from the audience if there is any questions. So I open the floor from the audience. Would you like to anyone like so unmute yourself and you have not written in the chat box, so you can directly ask. Anyone? Anyone? Would you like to ask any question? Can unmute yourself. Okay, I think none of them have questions so far. Perhaps they are still exploring things, not having much idea about what they are looking for. I would like to just ask at the end one more question, and then we can wind up our session for today. It has been a wonderful discussion, and hopefully next time we will be able to do much better way. Uh, I mean, like like we have in today in this globalized world. I was I'm in Istanbul, and I was encountering one. I was talking to a taxi driver actually, and the taxi driver was. I started talking to him in Turkish language. He was very happy. He was happy that I know the Turkish. I was able to. He was able to communicate with me. He was happy that he was able to communicate with me as well. So he was saying like, there are people living in Turkey, but they living 10 years, but they have not even learned at least a basic communicative language even. Uh, and they are so much, what do you say, arrogant about in their own language. Oh, English, like, everyone specifically was targeting the English speaking people because English is everywhere. And he was saying that they are so lavish and easygoing because they find everywhere the interpreter for them. Okay. And so they enjoy this the privilege. And why they are not learning our language? So we need someone to interpreter for them, like, they become much more dominant in that sense. So I mean, that's why I was asking, in that sense, in your opinion, like what Umran is doing, our organization who are deliberately or purposely like working on this issue, to uh, develop this language learning system so everyone can access language free of cost. They can learn and they can promote the peace, address the global conflict that we are having today. Perhaps as in the discussion we were exploring that, how uh, with the language we are able to connect with a different community, and they are able to connect with us as well. So we can address the global conflict. So what do you think about this? Like, are we like doing like we can make a better humanity with the language program? It's question for everyone. Like, I would like to have a brief answer.
Uh, I I'll answer to that. Like I'll answer through my experience. I remember when I think I was in stand 5 or 6, and we were taking this. There was this family trip to the mountains, Himalayas, and we had this this uncle, uh, like was from the Pahari region. So unknowingly, like I don't know, I did not do it deliberately. I just copied his tone, the way like he was also speaking Hindi, but he was speaking Hindi with a different, uh, I would not say a different dialect, but a different tone. And I just copied it. So that's called code switching. So I did that. And I remember at the end of that trip, that uncle telling my father that, like, you all are really good, but this daughter of yours is like, I'll remember her because she speaks like us. So I think, translators can translate, and these devices and machines, like you have Google Translator, you have AI, they can translate, but they cannot bring you closer to the person, to the other person. But learning language does that. So it's a great job that you're doing, and it's like it's there in so many universities. I'm really like happily surprised. So here there are study abroad programs. Students go for a year to another country, and they engage with the culture and the language, and they learn the language. And I was just thinking that in India we don't even need to cross, like go to another country. In a country like India, you have so many languages, but we would rather learn like Hindi, and English is the lingua franca, so we have to learn it if we have to stay in the academia. And then we would learn languages like French, also because we have access to a language like French, Spanish, or German. We have institutes that are teaching. There is a lot of again there are a lot of job opportunities there. But what about Indian languages? Like how many of us just would go out of the comfort zone and learn Kannada or learn Tamil or learn Bengali, Marathi? So it's again, as Ishita mentioned, like Hindi, English, Bengali translation, you don't have classes for that. So like this is also a question to ponder upon. Do we make it more local, or do we make it global, or we can do both? Like we can do a mix of both. And that a lot of that actually depends on our policymakers. So but as what we can do as individuals and as communities, Umran is showing us what we can do as communities. Then the teachers that are there who are taking out time and teaching in Umran are showing us what we can do as individuals to address these problems. So, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Ishita. Yeah.
Yes, so sir, if here the participants are interested, I can talk about a scholarship in Spanish language and also in Spain, which is like available every year for anyone who is interested. So I can share my thoughts about it. Hello.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we can organize a specific event on
Sure.
that, like
Sure. Yes. About
and
scholarships
it's a,
and opportunities. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So Ishita, would you like to say something on this, the addressing the global conflicts that we have today? Where is the because I must tell you, like the teacher, the Arabic, when you were learning Arabic, the teacher were very much impressed with you. Like she was like she's learning from Indian people learning. She has never seen Indian people learning Arabic, perhaps, or what. So she was very much connected and very happy.
I feel when we learn languages, we are not just, learning a new language, we are crossing barriers, cultural barriers. We are opening our worlds for other ideas, other people. And it's and especially, when you're communicating in a new language, you're bridging a gap in some ways. And if you look at the history of languages, there were situations where, just opening yourself to another person, another sort of your opponent, just avoided conflicts. There were times in like there are stories from ancient China that we hear where people who just from different cultures they got to one table, they got a chance to speak to each other, and they understood that their interests were aligned, so they didn't need to have a conflict. So definitely, as a language learner, somebody who's on the quest to learning languages, I feel somewhere your communication skills are definitely improving, but you're also sort of becoming more empathetic. Uh, I think Payal also
Mhm.
talked about this, and we are opening ourselves to looking at different perspectives. We are, you know, uh, we start to also see the politics of language, like why certain languages dominate, and we start to question that. But that's another part of language learning. So somewhere I feel where we have organizations like Umran, where so many people from various parts of the world are coming in, and we have people from academia, we have people from, various backgrounds. I think somewhere that dialogue starts to happen, and we start asking these questions. Why are we fighting? What is this difference? And somewhere, we open ourselves up to, learning from each other. And I think that's where the journey begins. Once we start to open ourselves to each other, once we start to understand where the other person is coming from, I think that's where we can see hope, and yeah, language learning is
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of that. There are other areas also, but I think language learning is one thing that can really, really open our perspectives and worldviews. And Umran has really, made things easier
Yeah.
for people that way.
Yeah, thank you. I think thank you very much, everyone, for today this event. Hopefully, the people, those who have tuned with this event, liked it, and we are looking forward, yeah, their feedback as well, and also like what they are looking for, so we can also organize the coming events as well, based on their requirement, perhaps. So thank you very much. It was a wonderful talking with you, Ishita, Payal, and Avik. Thank you very much for giving your time. And I wish you all the very best for you all. And also, in coming days, we are hoping to see you again. Happy Ramadan. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you
Thank you
very
so
much, sir.
much.